Welcome. In front of me I have the VIVO X200 FE, and today I'll be going over unboxing along with a quick look at the device and also its specifications. So anyway, let's just get straight into this. I have a foil on to cut through, so rip that up, and we have 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, and this is the V503 model. In any case, flip it over and let's get into it. Presentation wise, I do have to say it looks pretty good. Phone on the side. Now the phone itself is a little bit on a smaller side, as you can see. This is a 6.31 inch phone, and when it comes down to phone sizes, I do prefer smaller devices. The 6.8 to me are just way too big, and that's what she said. In any case, below that we have our SIM eject tool, and then inside here, paperwork, some energy sticker in there, and a matte black case. Sweet. And in here, by the weight of it, I can already tell there is no charger. But we have a Type A to Type C charging cable, and that's it. Okay, so let's move over to the phone itself and start going into the actual specifications. And the device looks pretty nice. Now I do have as my driver, a Samsung S25, and here is how it compares side by side. So just the Vivo is just a tiny bit bigger, but all in all they're very close to each other in terms of the aesthetic size. Now where they do differ is the cameras. Just gonna bring that up. You can see how they look like. So these are completely two different designs. And also the protrusion right here is a little bit bigger than what Samsung has on their device. Now, when it comes down to the display right here, which is what you're going to be looking almost all the time at, we have let me just move the stuff a little bit. So the display is a 6.3 inch display with a resolution of 1216 by 2640 pixels, LTPO AMOLED, 120 Hz refresh rate, 2160 Hz pull rate for your touch inputs, and HDR10 Plus certified with a peak brightness of about 5000 nits. It also boasts over 90% screen to body ratio and a pixel density of 461 pixels per inch, covered with a shot whatever core or shield glass. Yeah, I'm not even gonna pretend that I can read whatever this is named as. Exnantion, whatever. Honestly, yeah, I'm not gonna pretend that I can read this. In any case, so this is the display. Now if we flip it over to the back where we have our cameras, we have a triple camera setup, and these cameras look like no slouch. So let's see, we have a 50 megapixel f1.9 aperture 23mm wide lens, then another 50 megapixel f2.7, 70mm periscope telephoto with a 3x optical zoom, and 8 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide. Now with those cameras, you can record videos up to 4K at 60 frames max, and at 1080p you get 60 with slow motion of 120. And then at the front we have another 50 megapixel selfie f2.0 wide sensor that does 4K and 1080p, though it doesn't mention on GSM Arena what the frame rates are. Now I am getting all these informations from GSM Arena as they are pretty reliable and just, well, providing the information, and also the layout of the site is really nice. Now if we move over to the internals, we do have a 6500 milliampere battery. Now, if you're wondering that why is this battery so big, it's because it's actually using something that Samsung decided not to do, which is a silicon carbon battery. This device is, like I said, just about the tiniest bit bigger than what the Samsung S25, the smallest one that they offer, is, and it has, what is it, 1500 milliampere bigger battery than the Ultra of the S25. So yeah, this is like a whopping difference in terms of battery size of what Samsung offers. And the reason for that is that silicon carbon battery, which allows the device to pack way bigger battery capacity into the same kind of footprint of the physical battery size. That's why this phone has so much. Additionally, it also charges at a definitely faster rate than any kind of Samsung could ever wish to, which it doubles the best charging speed of Samsung, well, by double. So this phone offers 90 watts of wired charging. Unfortunately, there is no wireless charging, but at 90 watts, I don't think that should be much of a problem. So with that in mind, I also want to point out that it looks like the global version has a 6500 milliamps, while the Australia and Hungary only has a 5300 milliampere battery. Now, something that I recently learned from, I think it was Mr. Who's the Boss, which talked about this. Apparently, some countries have some different restrictions on batteries, and this phone in Austria and Hungary might have the same battery, exactly the same one, with the same capacity of like the 6500, but it might be just software limited because of some restrictions. Though I am just kind of putting that out there, this might not be the case. I don't necessarily know. I haven't taken this phone apart, so I haven't seen the label on the battery, but I'm just putting that out there for people. Maybe there will be some ways to kind of circumvent this if that is the case. Or maybe when you're going to the setup by selecting, for instance, anything else than where you actually are when it comes into Austria or Hungary, for instance, Germany, you might have bigger battery capacity. Who knows? Now, with that in mind, moving on into the internals, or more into it, we have 12 gigs of RAM as a base entry with 256 or 512 gigs of storage, but it can get also 16 gigs of RAM with 512 gigs of storage. Now, one more thing, this device is running UFS 3.1 for some reason. I don't know if this is correct. If it is, it's a bit of a slower storage type for what could be almost considered as a flagship device. Now, this is the I guess what we now consider a cheap version of a flagship FE. So maybe that's why they have the slower storage speeds, but in general it should be, I would say, good enough for 4K 60 encoding and just decoding. Now, in terms of the processor powering this device, it's the Dimensity 9300 Plus. So basically a flagship processor, very good. This device obviously will breeze through anything that you throw at it, and for supposedly the price that they want, I do want to double check it, because this phone is actually really good for the price that they are asking for, assuming it is correct. And let's see, can I find it? This is closer to like nope, not that. Bear with me while I'm trying to do my mathematics right here. So GSM Marina is claiming that it costs about 719 euros, and we convert that. Okay, yeah, so it's actually more than that by like nearly 25%. I am just double checking if this is the actual price everywhere, if I can find it, and it looks like it. Now, I do want to point out the price that I'm finding for this phone being 3,800 PLN, which puts it at about, what is it, 800 euros, I think. Just double check. We can actually just, okay, there we go. Let's make this, actually no, even more, so like 850 I assume. Gee, even more. Yeah, so it's actually closer to 900 euros. Now at 900 euros is approaching a flagship prices. So with that in mind, if you can get it at the aforementioned 700 euro price tag, that's fantastic, which I can't find it. because in Poland, where I reside in, they are only selling the 12 gigabyte model with half a terabyte of storage. Now there is a 256 gig option, which apparently stores don't want to sell. So I automatically get a higher price tag just because of that extra storage. So chances are, if wherever you are and you can get the 256 gig storage with 12 gigs of RAM, you might save up probably like $400 or about $100, but that's still, well, 900 and 700. That's a little bit of a difference there, still shy of the 700 euros. Now, because this is Vivo, price of it will probably vary, and this will be probably discounted by retailers, so you might get 700 euro price tag or maybe even lower. All in all, for the about, if we consider the 700 euro, it seems like a very good device, especially if you're looking for a compact device that has like the 6.3 inch display. Obviously this one is great, and honestly most about this device seems to be just really good. The only thing that at the moment I don't really see that to be that great is the price, and where I am at 900 euros, I just don't see the appeal of this device. Now, I paid for my Samsung when it was released. Less than that, I paid the about 700 euro price tag, also for 512 gigs of storage. And at that price range, I do have a device that gives me a longer life support, as in, this phone is running Android 15 and gets 4 major upgrades to of Android, while the Samsung, I think gets, what is it, 7, 6, something like that. CS. Gonna quickly check it. Yeah, it gets 7 years. So Samsung will get almost double the supported lifespan of the phone. So if you're looking for a phone that can last you longer without you needing to buy like new ones every couple of years, this one still has a good one of 4 years. But when it comes down to comparing it to Samsung, which has 7, that obviously is more appealing if you don't like to swap your devices. And if you're wondering what the benefit there is, it's basically support for the device implies that security patches and stuff like that, so your device will be secure with newest versions of Android all the time, or at least all the time, at least for, in this case, 4 years coming, while Samsung goes for exactly 7. So at the end of the day, if you can get this device at 700 or maybe even less, that would be fantastic. If you can't, maybe try to snag a S25. If you don't mind that, though, like I mentioned, this phone also has some benefits over the Samsung, like considering similar size, it has, at least to the S25, more than like triple charging speed. This piece of shit charges at 25 watts and has about 4,000 milliampere battery at best. This has 6,500, the charges at 90. In terms of just battery, it's already a decent improvement. And Samsung did screw up something with the cameras, I would say, for the S25, where I can't say that it captures very good photos, especially in low light. Something like for instance, iPhone 13 outperforms the brand new S25. So obviously, if this device can capture better photos than iPhone 13, then it most certainly can capture better than my Samsung. So that would probably be another major upgrade. And Vivo does have phones that do go into cameras quite well, like in terms of like the software, so they do try to optimize it. So I do presume the Vivo might actually have better results in photos, videos than the actual Samsung does. So those would be a couple of improvements over the Samsung. Like I said, if you can get it at a better price, then that would be the kind of optimal thing to go for. Now, with that being said, hopefully you found this very helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.